everyone, and welcome to this conversation presented by White House Custom Color. I'm Jed Taufer. Thanks for listening. You know, my wife Vicki and I have owned and operated our photography studio, V Gallery, for 20 years now. White House has been our lab for the last 16 of those years, and we could not be happier. White House is a family-run business, just like ours. If you haven't already, check them out at whcc.com. And if you want to drop me a line, feel free to email me at jed@whcc.com. You never know what someone's going to say if you just give them the chance to say it. This is one of the things that struck me when I got to sit with Richard Sturdevant for a conversation at Imaging USA in Nashville a couple weeks ago. Richard is one of the most accomplished, award-winning photographers I've ever met. He's the Mr. T of the photo world. I say this not only because of his award bling, but also because even though he's a big burly guy, he's got a soft heart, just like Mr. T. And I found that he just needed a little space to open up. Take heed, friends. Richard has accomplished things that many of us aspire to, and he knows about traps we have yet to face. He's made mistakes in business and in life. He's learned from them, and now he's offering advice on how we can too. So I want to ask you about this seriously, because this is happening to me.
Okay.
When you get older, you get more sensitive?
Oh, absolutely. You get emotional. And
why?
It's a good question.
I'm serious. It's happening to me.
I think it's like a combination of a couple of things. One, like the scientific reason, would be your testosterone starts to lower the older you get.
So my testosterone's lowering.
Mm-hmm. So then the other thing I think is life experience. You realize what's important and what's not. It's like things that you thought were important one day or, at some point in your life just aren't as important. It's like having a child. You know, when I had my son, I mean, we're all selfish beings. But I think, before you have a child, you're a little bit more selfish. You're more self-centered. And then when you have a child, I think it opens up your, you got somebody more to take. I mean, you got somebody that you need to take care of more than yourself.
So selfishness is thinking of self, essentially. And when you have a child, you don't think of yourself as much because you can't.
You can't. You will sacrifice. Like for my son, he. I made sure he had money, had credit cards, made sure, and he's like, he was really good. He wasn't one of those kids that spent a bunch of money. He would always call me, hey, can I go to CC's Pizza? I'm like, Daniel, just use it.
He was responsible.
Yeah, and, but he, I think we all want to, have our kids. I think when you get to that point, you're like, okay, I want my child to have a better life than I had. I don't want them to go through this stuff. And I was able to do that with my child. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's a tightrope you walk because you can spoil them and they feel entitled. Right. And luckily he's not that way. He's very responsible and very respectful. And I taught him manners early on. So if I didn't do anything else good in this world, I did a good job there.
You have a good son that you raised.
Yeah. So it's,
I ask because it struck a chord with me in that I've found myself lately more and more sensitive to various things. And I could see how it could be associated with my children. Cry at movies more, cry at, I don't see commercials very often, but when I do, they get to me. Stuff like that. Music, like a song will get to me.
I can't even hardly listen to music while I'm working because I start crying and it's pitiful. But it's just I think the older you get and just life experiences, loss will make you appreciate things a lot better. Mm-hmm. It's like any of the I don't remember any of the successes as much as I remember my failures.
Is that right?
Yeah, because My failures is what made me strong. It's what.
And you're not just talking about business. You're,
everything.
You're talking about life.
All the way around.
Yeah.
And see, I'm like in my background, my childhood, it was a very different. I didn't know it wasn't normal until I knew it wasn't normal. Like
you didn't realize it at the time.
But there wasn't a lot of God in the family. There was I had to find God on my own, and just the fact that certain behaviors that I didn't realize that I had late in life. It's like my emotions. Like one of my greatest gifts is I have a full range of emotion. My greatest weakness is I have a full range of emotion.
Okay. What does it look like when it's a strength?
When it's what?
When you said one of your greatest strengths is that you have a full range of emotion. What does that?
The capacity,
look like?
The capacity to care for someone or something else more than yourself. I'm not really a taker. I have taken. We all do, but I like to be a giver. But there's healthy ways to do that, and there's unhealthy ways to do that. And I think I grew up with some unhealthy ways. Like for example, I think we talked about this. With Dan at After Dark or whatever. It's like I may have a valid point when I get in an argument with my significant other.
Okay.
But because they go, well, you're wrong, or I don't agree with you. And then I react, and then it becomes about the way I react and not about the same problem. So you never get to the problem. It's just, you're always dealing with your reaction.
I may or may not know exactly what you're talking about.
I think you do. And so when you're, if you're with somebody who is, it's not as apparent when you're with somebody who, or around people who are like that as well. It's like when I grew up in my family, we could fist fight or cuss each other, and next minute we're hugging, But you realize that when you get out in the world, words are so impactful. They don't bother me. You can call me anything you want. It's just not going to bother me, because I realize, I guess, from myself that I know you're emotional, because maybe I hurt you or said something, and so I know you're emotional, so I don't really take it that serious. But words impact people quite a bit. And so I've decided in my life to, all the way around from business to personal life, children, is to basically be a better man, just be kinder, be gentler, be...
What does that look like in business?
Well, showing respect.
Yeah.
Not being a pompous ass.
Oh.
Realizing that you're given a gift. And I hadn't always known that. What we do, you think about it, people look at my stuff and they're going, I remember in competition, they go, well, it's not fair because that's not your everyday work. Well, yeah, it is.
That is what your everyday
work
is.
And so people were like, well, how do you get to do that? It's just I worked my butt off for years.
Right. You learned how to do it.
And I've had ups and downs. And I've lost big, fortunes, and, just gone up and down. And money's not important. Money's not important to me. It's just a necessity to live.
Is that right?
Yeah. I don't worship money.
Right.
And, but I have this fear of being, of ending up alone.
Yeah, that's it.
And where I'm at right now, I'm responsible for where I'm at. It's like, have you ever noticed that, maybe when you're younger and then you grow up and you get more mature, you start thinking of things differently, but you go, well, yeah, I maybe did that. I reacted. I did that, but you made me do it. So basically it's just like these kids.
You're shifting blame.
Yeah, you're shifting blame. It's a narcissistic type of characteristic where you're basically projecting, onto them. Right. And so you never really take ownership.
Yeah.
And so last year I look back into my life and I'm going, there's so many things in my life, in business and relationships and marriage and fatherhood that I haven't taken ownership of. And so, when I had there was a pretty rough year this year, but I'm okay because no matter the loss, what I got from it was invaluable because of the fact that I decided, you know what? It doesn't matter what anybody does to me. It doesn't matter what any of my competitors say about me. It doesn't matter whether, this person doesn't want me anymore. It doesn't matter because I had a choice. And you got to ask yourself, in business and relationships and fatherhood, did I act like a good person? Did I act, if you're Christian, did I have Christian behavior?
Sure.
And then if you really look at yourself, because most of us can't really look at ourselves and be honest with ourselves, and you go, no, I didn't. And you're kind of like, and it's an eye-opening experience. It just freaking floors you.
When you get that far, because I think it's tough to get that far, but when you do get that far and you have that realization that you could have done better here or there, or that you made a mistake here or there, right? What do you do then?
Well, I'll tell you what I used to do and what I do now.
Perfect.
Okay, what I used to do was just blow it off and leave and just, it was like...
Ignore it?
Well, yeah, because it's like it was something I didn't want to deal with,
right.
And so there were relationships that went awry or friendships that went awry. It was like, don't want to put that much energy into it, and because we don't want to. It's hard to say I made a mistake. It's hard to say I'm sorry.
Yes.
And a lot of times you go, what are you sorry for?
Right.
That's the question, because everybody says they're sorry. But most of the time, you think about it, people are only sorry because they got caught or called out. Because if you cheated on, your wife and you got caught, well, you're sorry because you got caught, not because you cheated on your wife.
Sure.
But if you cheated on your wife and you come and confess to her, like I just, we were having problems, that's a different story.
Right.
No, I didn't do it. I don't cheat. So.
Okay. I'm not. I didn't know where this was going, but I get it.
But just as a hypothetical, example, now I take ownership, and so I think all of us, we're creatives, and I did a program for Mary and Jamie up in Virginia.
Yeah.
And were you there?
No, but I remember when you did it.
Okay, and in any case, I taught. I did a class and then I did a program, and the program was about understanding the artist in you, and it's like we all have these characteristics. We're emotional. We react. Look at some of our. I won't mention names, but some of our fellow peers in the business on social media.
Yeah.
They can't leave it alone. It's like you call them up, like just quit responding.
Right.
And so it's just, I look back and I go, okay, you know what? I didn't take responsibility in the past, so I'm going to take responsibility now. And that means going up to people and confronting them and dealing with it then. Because as artists, in that program, we procrastinate, we do all these things, we put stuff off. Because if we put it off, we don't have to deal with it until it becomes a point where we do have to deal with it.
Then it can get worse and worse and worse and worse.
And, we all make mistakes. We all do things that we're not proud of. We all do things that, we really, I think most of us, if we're honest, the things we did wrong are more impactful than things we did right.
Yes, I get that. Sure.
So
when you do that though, let's say you go and make something right, in business or in relationships or whatever. So you've changed you've changed the way that you handle that now. How has that gone for you?
Well, it's going better. It's changed relationships. It's changed, even my son. I'm his father. I took care of him. Most fathers or parents don't feel that they got to apologize to the kid. But,
Yeah.
you know, I set him down. You know, we were driving back to Dallas, and the sun gets you. You know, just telling him that that I'm proud of him, that I'm glad he made decisions, because I tried to let him make his decisions. And, you know, and I did everything I was supposed to do. I took care of him. I made sure he had money. I made sure his college was taken care of. And, you know, we still got some loans to pay off. But, you know, we did what we were supposed to do. But there were things that I regret in the past until I talked to him about it. And I said, you know, I want to apologize to you because I feel like I could have been a better father.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could have spent more time with him when he was young, because you don't get that time back.
It's gone.
You know, I'm a workaholic, and I would most of all my relationships in my life have been have come at great cost. You know, in the negative part, because of I always feel like I got to put work first or do this, and you know, you really don't. I mean, there are times when you just have to do what your job is, but there are times when you could either get on Netflix or you can go in there and play with your kid. You know, you can do things that are more meaningful. And
when work isn't even on the table.
Right.
There are times outside of work where you can do that. Yeah.
And I think you might probably understand this, that a lot of times our identity is built through our work.
Yeah.
And so when we're not working, we don't really know who we are. You know, it's like if I go to a wedding and I'm shooting a wedding, I got no problem. I'm in control. You know, I'm doing a job.
Right.
But if I have to go there and socialize, it's a whole different story,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Because I could be extroverted, but I'm really introverted.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just carry on conversations with people I'm not comfortable with. You know?
Well, when you have the amount of success that you've had, right, and all the awards and all the amazing imagery and all the amazing things that you've made and created, right, does that not play a part? I mean, at some point, that begins to become who you are.
Well, and it's a dangerous road. It's
I'm asking based just on observation, also on experience, but that's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. I could see how it could be very, very difficult to not allow that to happen or to avoid that. I'm looking at the medals on your neck, and you have 40 pounds of hardware on your necklace, and all of those represent huge accomplishments that most people don't get one of those. And you have like 70. And how do you handle that, you know, now? Like I hear you saying how it became part of your identity, right? And I get that piece. But how do you handle it now? Because you have the benefit of hindsight.
It's growth. I mean, just maturity and experience, and you know, lucky you surround yourself with people that are going to take you in a positive direction. And you know, if you're around people that take you in a negative direction, you probably need to, you know, move those on down the line. This is a trick. This is a trap.
That's a trap.
It's a trap.
All those medals.
All those medals are a trap. I've been very successful. I was successful right off the bat. You know, and you can't stay on top forever. You know, you can't. But
is that part of the trap?
Oh yeah, because you think you do. It's like, Ben and I have even talked about it. It's like,
yeah.
You know, after I did my 400 print case, he feels the same way. It's like the next year I got 397, and everybody was disappointed.
Because
I mean, it's like, you know, and it's like, and you know, I actually feel like I do better work now than I did then.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all timing, and I come in on a great time.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing what I was doing.
Right.
Ben was out on the outskirts. You know, I come in, and you know, he was building up and training, and you know, because I consider like Ben and I have had the same accomplishments and stuff. So
You have.
and he's he's like my brother from another mother.
Yeah.
I just love him,
Yeah.
and we're competitive with each other, but we're not. We root for each other.
Yeah, you don't have enmity
No,
between each
not
other.
at all.
Right.
And but when I come onto the scene, I was cleaning house.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what I was doing. I mean, I didn't know that. I mean, I taught art and I competed in art years ago and did well with it. But my intention when I started competing wasn't awards. It was just the thrill of creating this work. I was passionate. I was excited.
But at some point, did it
absolutely.
become about the award?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it's a trap. And here's the thing. I mean, I had people gravitating towards me when I first come in, blowing smoke up my ass.
Right.
I mean, you're the blah, blah, blah. You're this, and you got to be careful because you start to believe your own hype.
You do, don't you?
Yeah, and you remember back years ago, WPPI, PPA, and you'd go to these platforms, and it was just fluff.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all were on stage quite a bit, and it's like, you're kind of like, well, how much do I give? How much do I?
Yeah, all that.
Because, I mean, if you give everything away,
right.
And you're thinking, well, I mean, I'm gonna be replaced, and so I lost sight of what was important. These aren't important. I wear them here, and
Well,
now,
you're supposed to wear them.
yeah. And when I first joined, I was like, there is no way I am wearing that crap.
Yeah.
That looks like a Shriner's hat.
Well, when you have as many medals as you do, it does.
And so I was like, but once I started winning and started getting the accolade, I was proud of them.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being proud.
No.
And I see it every day, and I just keep my mouth shut. And I got a couple people that I mentor, and I talk to them about the pitfalls. I got one girl who's just super talented right now. You're gonna hear she's gonna blow it away. I mean, she'll be kicking my butt, but next year. But as part of the mentoring is like I talk to them about the things that I've been through, and things that I've realized, and when you start to believe your own hype, then you become an asshole, and then you start thinking you're all that, and you do this, and and I would always say, well, people say, well, you're arrogant. Well, I'm not arrogant. I'm just confident. There's a fine line between arrogance and confidence.
I believe that's true. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being confident. But being arrogant's another thing. And I went to a stage where I was, thought about, just thought I was all that. And I mean, I'm just being honest, and I'm ashamed of it.
You are.
Yeah. I mean, because it wasn't who I was.
Do you have things to quote unquote make right
Oh, yeah.
that you haven't made right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah. I'm
That
slow.
you're aware of? Like, there's this thing I need to take care of. There's this person I need to take care of.
Let's say this. They may not think I have to make anything right, but I do.
You do, yeah.
And this last year, I mean, and I'll get back to the print competition, but this last thing, what's helped me, and which will lead into what I'm about to tell you on the print competition, is, with personal life and everything like that, I took ownership. I mean, my relationship, I don't know where you stand on religion, but I have a strong relationship with God, but I struggle. I do biblical prints, but they're sporadic.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, they're sporadic because there are times in my life I don't think I should be painting them because I'm not worthy.
Is that right?
Yeah, and the thing about it is none of us are worthy,
Of course.
but the thing about it, it's like, I'm harder on myself than anybody could be. You couldn't do anything to me that would be as bad as I would do to myself.
Sure, okay.
And so I started looking at all the things I made mistakes in.
Yeah.
Life, people, personal relationships, family. And I decided to do this, and this right here is that changed my life. And I guarantee you, after a couple days of processing this, you will go home and do this.
Okay. Now I'm kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
I'm ready, though.
Okay.
Give it to me.
I decided to sit down and write to everyone I ever hurt or did wrong. And basically apologize, tell them what I'm apologizing for, tell them what I'm sorry for, you know. And whether I give that to them or not, you know, it's not the purpose. You know, I may give it to some people, I may give it, you know, not to other people.
Right.
But, you know, my personal life, some of my actions, you know, because I was hurt and people were hurt and, you know, in the industry, you know, I feel like I've been blackballed for a couple of years, you know, and
I didn't know that.
well, I mean, nobody would say it, but I kind of feel like
You felt like that.
well, I felt because of my actions, you know.
So
because,
you have all these letters that you've written.
I got about 25 of them.
25 letters?
So.
And you're gonna give some of them out, you think?
I haven't decided yet.
You don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know, but it wasn't the purpose. The purpose is to honestly bare my soul to this person and say, you know, and not to give, you know, well, I'm sorry for doing this, but you did this. You know, I take whatever they did.
You owned it.
Yeah, I take whatever they did out of the equation.
Right.
And I only deal with what I dealt with, and or what I dished out, and I deal with that, and it's emotional, man. I mean, you will freaking just be, you know, I'm writing in this notebook, and man, tears are all on the pages, you know, melting the ink, and it's just because it's the most powerful thing besides, you know, trying to work on my relationship with God and have a relationship with Him that I've ever done, because it's cleansed my soul. And so I realized that this trap here, I mean, even though I'm very proud of the accomplishments, this hurt me worse than it helped me. Helped me in the industry, but personally it hurt me. Because I became an ass.
Yeah.
And
because of the trap that you fell in.
And then I got, you know, there's people out there got a reputation that, you know, that thought I was an ass, and I'm a very firm. I mean, I don't put up with a lot of crap. You're in my class and you cuss me, I'm gonna kick you out of my class. You know,
Of course, sure.
And I think you and I kind of got that same kind of.
I wouldn't want somebody
demeanor.
cussing me in my class either.
And so then you get a reputation that you're a mean guy, you know, and if people take my class, I'm really not a mean guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, those rock stars back then, you know, people started needing content. And then I decided, you know what? I'm not hiding anything. I'm just going to give it all.
Right.
Because I realized something. And that's what always kills me. Like, you have certain guys that have workshops. So, oh, you can't do this 100 miles from my.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I mean, like, why are you teaching then?
Right.
You know, why are you getting upset because somebody's work looks like yours because you just taught them?
Right.
You know, I mean, you're sending them a letter trying to, you know, cease and desist for doing that kind of. You just took a class.
Yeah.
You know, and so I decided just to be raw and be me, for better or for worse. And speaking on stage, that's when I've done my best programs. Is when I just let me come out.
Right. You don't worry about the facade or the image.
Right, because if you do, you're always trying to project that image and that.
That's exhausting.
It is exhausting. It's like lying. You tell one lie, you got to tell other lies to cover that lie up.
Man.
It's a never-ending thing, and it's, you know, and it's like, where does my worth come from?
Right.
Does it come from, you know, me projecting that I'm some sort of rock star? Yeah. I think even somebody even got mad at me when I was doing all that print stuff. You know, I was going to write that deal, and I just kind of backed off because it pissed too many people off. But I was, somebody called me a fallen rock star, you know. And I'm like, well, yeah, I didn't know because at this age, when I fall, I don't get back up. But you know, it's like, but see, that's a valid thing. That's a perception that somebody has.
Yeah.
And why did they have that perception? One, could be from a personal experience with you. Could be from gossip.
Yeah.
You know, because you know how it is. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's our industry or any other industry. if you're known, something's going to go around in a circle, and
Sure.
it's going to grow, and it's going to be this or that.
Sure.
But when I started being myself and being raw, crying on stage, not afraid to show my emotion, I enabled people in the crowd to do the same.
To be the same way, right?
And you don't realize how many people are going through this that they don't know, and they don't know they're supposed to show it because it shows weakness.
Right.
And I decided to do what I love, and luckily I'm able to do it for a living. My biblical stuff, I love that. I'm creating a book on that, and hopefully I'll have it finished in 30 years. But it's just, it's a process that I'm going through, and I feel like I've been given this gift, and I don't, whether I need to, it doesn't matter. I want to. I want to give back. I want to do that type of work. I like teaching, because when I'm teaching, I mean, people say, well, if you can't do, then teach. Well, that's not true. I mean, I can hang with the best of them.
Right.
And that's not arrogance. That's just confidence in my skill set.
Well, it's truth.
And so I just
You're very good. There's no question about
but
it.
you want to know something that's just mind blowing? I don't even think I've reached like 1/16 of my potential. In my head, I am so far ahead of where I'm at.
Yeah.
And it's been such a frustrating thing going through this like creative block
Yeah.
that emotionally I had to break free from the stuff going on personally, and just throw myself back in that work.
Yeah.
And but now instead of staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning and getting up late, those are bad
Habits. Yeah.
So what I do is I go to bed early
Yeah.
and wake up at sometimes 4:30, 5:30.
Yeah.
I spend have my coffee. I spend a couple hours working. I go to the gym every morning. And I've been hitting the gym. I've recovered from 2 shoulder surgeries, and I'm like killing it in there now. And I'm getting old, but I'm going to fight it as much as I can.
Well, that leads me to what I've been thinking about for a while now. What I want to kind of conclude with you is, you're 55. You said that a few times. You've had these realizations, right? These epiphanies, kind of. Mm-hmm. You're aware of lots of traps that you've identified. You've done things like written all those letters. What you think you're at about 1/16 of your potential. Keeping all of that in mind, and knowing that you still have the capacity to fall back into traps.
No, right? Absolutely.
Because you're not perfect, et cetera, et cetera. What does the next 10, 15, what does the rest of your life in your mind look like ideally?
Helping others. I think it's time for me to, mentor more people. You gotta get paid for certain stuff, but I got certain people that, they hire me to mentor, but it becomes more than that. But it's like, you got to give back, doing, things for schools, where you don't, little private schools that don't have any, they would like photography, but they don't have the teachers for that. Like they have access to bigger schools. I got plenty of schools out in Texas that want me to come out and speak to their students. And, photography is, a 16-year-old can buy a camera and some business now. It's just the way of it. And but teaching them what true professionalism is and what true excellence is. You're never going to reach perfection. You never are.
Mm-hmm.
But man, isn't it fun to chase it? You know? I mean, it gets you all fired up. You get them competitive and
yeah.
But it's like you know, if I can keep intact the realization that I had that, you know, what makes me happy is the journey, is the actual doing of it, the actual work. And I've never fallen into the trap of I'm only creating to win awards. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have done images that were, you know, projects of mine.
Right.
But most of my stuff's been, you know, I get paid for.
Right.
And so I like the fact that, you know, I know what, how should I say this? I know where those traps are lurking.
Yeah.
And telling other people about them. Like, I mean.
So helping in that way too.
Well,
mentoring
mentoring because
in that way.
It's like people, you know, they create. There's people that don't even make any money that just do competition, and it's great. Is it great for your growth? Absolutely. Is it great? But you get so hung up in it that you put everything in and I'm not saying most, but most people. Well, let me say most people that have that kind of mentality, they're the ones that'll follow the fads.
Yeah.
They're the ones that'll, you know, emulate other people because they've won before.
Yeah.
You know, I challenge people, like in my classes, what can you do to be original? Mm-hmm. You know, it's a hard thing these days because, you know, originality is tough. Everything's already been done.
Right.
But you could put your twist on it. You could put your thing on it. And while you're doing that, if you really love what you're doing, and you put your whole heart and all your passion into it, the joy is going to come because you're going to develop into your own style. You're going to, you know, people are going to start recognizing your work. It's like in my booth, you know, I got Chris and he's got his work, and some guy said, "Well, that's not your work there." I said, "No." He said, "I could tell your work's, you know, it's got a certain look.
Yeah.
You know, got a certain style.
Right.
Does it mean it's better? No, it's just different.
Right.
You know, but it's recognizable.
Right.
And do you remember a couple of years ago when they had like, PPA probably won't say it, but it's like 42 diamond photographers.
There was a lot of them.
Yeah. And, you know, that's been, you know, I mean, probably the max was like 12 or 16 normally.
Right.
You know, and it's gotten a little bit more liberal
Sure.
as far as the scoring goes on that, in my opinion. But and in any case, all those people got diamonds, you know, and a lot of people from Dallas. And then next year, they don't even, you know, the case doesn't even go 4 for 4. And that's like all of a sudden they went up here and then they went down here and they don't know what to do with it. Because when you get up here, you think, well, I've made it. No, you haven't. You just made it that day. Right. You got to start all over tomorrow, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like, you know, it's like your paycheck. You get your first, my son just got his first paycheck. You know, he's got a job making $80,000 right out of college, and I'm proud of him, but he got his first paycheck. And I said, just remember, once you spend that, you got to make it all over again.
Got to do it again.
You haven't made it, you know.
Right. You got to do it again a lot.
A lot. And you're going to do it the rest of your day for the rest of your life. Yeah. Every day for the rest of your life. Yeah. So, but there was a book, and I encourage you to, it'd be great for you, both you and Vicki. It's called The Artist's Way. It come out in the 90s or...
Yeah, I know of that book. Who wrote that book? Do you know?
I can't remember her name.
That sounds really familiar to me.
It's an older book, but it's basically, it was designed for writers. And it was basically like a 12-step program for creatives.
Right.
And that book really, really embedded some things that, you know, I revert to when I'm struggling.
Sure.
And when I was going to do my creative block and stuff, what I took out of that book and what was the most important to me was the fact that for, say, like 30 days, do a test or, you know, even if you don't want to go that long, go for a week, 2 weeks, and have a notepad by your bed, pen, and before you even go to the restroom when you wake up, write 3 pages, whatever comes to your mind, whatever's in your mind. Because when you first wake, your brain is fresh, it's clean.
Yeah.
But as soon as we start to, in that waking process, we start to censor ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, I got to be like this, I got to do that, I got to do it. But a lot of times if you just sit there and write, it may be gibberish. Now, when you write all that, you just write 3 pages or as much as you can, you know, up to 3 pages. Take it, fold it up, put it in an envelope, seal it, put it in a drawer. And then do that I did it for a month. And then I went back and just spent one whole day in chronological order reading those. One, I found out what was creatively blocking me.
Yeah.
Secondly, I created this unbelievable print that was, I kept dreaming. And it was like in my 400 print case that a magician's dream. I kept dreaming it. And I wanted, instead of writing that day, I wrote and then I sketched, you know, which is, I'm an artist, so that's I communicate sometimes. And And so, but I started reading all these things and realized that there were things I was disappointed in myself. There was things I have a hard time congratulating me.
Oh.
And I don't give myself enough credit.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think we need to, but it's like, how do you do it in a healthy way where it's, you know, you're not blowing smoke up your tail end.
Right.
And so,
I'll have to look into that. I've heard of that book. And I think that's a good exercise.
It really helped me a lot. And I've had a couple people that I'm mentoring, I've had them do that. And it was like, oh, that was hard to do. Well, yeah, it's hard, but it gets easier.
Takes effort. Yeah.
And, but how many people today don't want to put effort? They just want, you know, and it's like to get something great, you got to work hard for it. You know, we got people coming by the booth. They're just looking at, they're like, your work just has such a level. And I pride myself in that because I worked hard at that. You know, people can get to a certain point and then that's where they can't finish a print off. It's good, great image, good concept.
Right.
And so I've taught myself how to finish it off, and I teach other people in classes or mentorship or whatever, and through my education on my website. But
somebody told me one time that a good artist knows how to do X, Y, and Z, and a great artist knows when to stop. And that struck me. Because I think sometimes you can get so wrapped up in the process that you just keep going and going and going, and then it starts to decline.
You overwork it. You can't, and you know what that is? It's insecurity.
It can be, sure.
Yeah, because you have to be confident enough in your ability to know that you're doing
when something's done.
And I used to, you know, there's a process that you go through where I used to send all my stuff to other people.
Yeah.
You know, John Allen was one of them.
Yeah.
Because John Allen he's got such a keen eye. He's probably one of the best judges ever.
I would agree with that.
And I used to send my stuff to him, and you know, he would rip it. I mean, and but he was, he was honest, in which I appreciate.
Yeah,
and
that's what you want.
Yeah, and so it helped me grow. Now, though, I don't do that as much because I don't want to be influenced. I don't go. I quit going around and looking at other people's work over, about 5-6 years ago because I don't want to be influenced by their work. I want to, you're going to be influenced anyways, but teaching somebody to be influenced and be inspired by a piece versus emulating or copy the piece, it's like, if you're going to copy a piece, do a tribute,
Tribute, I like that. Yeah, call it a tribute. Then you give credit to them.
Right. And it's just like, if somebody uses your background, like people post online, oh, that's so great. People don't know they didn't create the background. They're like, oh, this is a background for Richard Sturdevant. They're giving credit. And it's just it's ethical. And then another thing is like, where are my ethics in all this? Do I realized I had stuff I had to improve in my business. I had customer service. I don't have a problem. Making money's easy.
Yeah.
For me, it's managing money. I mean, I'm a horrible money manager. That's why I need a good woman that's accountant, you know. I get an allowance or something.
You get an allowance.
That's probably what I need. But
oh man,
but
I get that too.
The name of my book, if I ever write a book on my life, Shelley gave it to me, and she said, "You're just a specimen of rebellion." And when I got thinking about it, you know, I've been a rebel all my life. And you got to know when that's good and when it's not good, because sometimes you just rebel and you're just being an activist, you know, and you got, you know, and you're, you know, where are your ethics in that? Are you, you know, I have a hard time if somebody is not showing good ethics. I call them out because you're the same way. What you see is what you get. There's no hiding, you know, who you are. And, but it's like having an event, you know, here, and you don't speak, and booking another event down the road and hold your own class. It's unethical.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, it's like you're cutting into what this is doing. It's just not.
You're leeching.
Yeah. And so I see that going on, and people, I see a lot of times people they just want to be known.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that great. You know, I mean, I don't want to be known. I want my work to be known.
Yeah.
And so my final thing I'll tell you, unless you got other questions, but through all this process, through the writing the letters, through you know, doing the Artist Way stuff, through being honest with myself and taking ownership of my life, I realized that I don't need awards anymore. What I need is a consistent body of work over my lifetime. You know, did I maintain or level or keep growing? And one thing I credit myself is whether I accomplish it or not, I always try to grow and be different, and you know, even if I'm doing the same thing, I try to do it better than I did the last time. I try to, you know, come up with techniques that have a different look, or
improving, growing,
and it's
evolving.
And that body of work is your calling card. It's you.
Yeah.
You know, and people go, because there's a lot of people that win stuff, but they're not known. Why is that? It's because of inconsistency. You know, why is Ben so popular? He's got a consistent body of work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Why is, you know, anybody that's successful, Sandra Pierce, you know, I mean, you can tell her stuff all, and if you have that consistent body of work, and, you know, I'm not pumping awards. I'm just saying these are things I set out to do. I set out in the beginning, I said, well, I can't win every year, so what my goal is to go diamond 25 times in my lifetime.
Goodness.
And I'm at 12. So I'm almost halfway there.
That's insane.
And it's not for the awards. It's a challenge to me.
Yeah.
Can I maintain that level? Because what's happening is what was good 10 years ago wouldn't even merit now sometimes.
Sure, because the bar is raised.
Yeah, the bar. I mean, and I'm out there teaching. Ben's teaching. We're all teaching, and we're raising the bar.
Right.
So we're raising the bar for ourselves.
For yourself.
So it's forcing us to grow.
Right. Where do people go to find you?
Sturdevanci.com.
Right.
It's STURDAVINCI.com. And
thank you for doing this.
well, thank you, man.
Thank you for being vulnerable and opening up.
Well, at least I didn't bawl like a baby. Only teared up once.
You didn't quite go that far, no. I appreciate it, and thank you again for your time.
Well, thank you, buddy.